remaining 80% current affairs video and general studies complete videos, please subscribe to our complete package. 3. Japan to resume whaling in Antarctic, despite court ruling. This topic will be important under General Studies Paper 2 and 3. International institutions, conservation, ecology and ecosystem protection respectively. Why recently in news? Japan has announced it will resume whaling in the Antarctic early next year after a break of more than a year. The decision comes despite an International Court of Justice (ICJ) ruling that Japan should cease all whaling in Antarctica. But the announcement has been condemned by environmental groups and the Australian and UK governments. Why Japan resumed whaling despite of ICJ ruling? The Japanese government says it has taken into account the court ruling and its scientific whaling program will be much smaller. Under Japan's revised plan, it will reduce the number of minke whales caught each year by 2/3 to 333. The Japanese authorities believe their plan is scientifically reasonable, but it is unlikely to placate opponents, in particular the Australian government. What ICJ said about Japan's whaling. In 2014, Australia won a case against Japan in the International Court of Justice in the Netherlands. The court ruled that Japan's scientific whaling program was not scientific at all and ordered Tokyo to recall its fleet. Crucially, the ruling stated that it did not believe it was necessary for Japan to kill whales in order to study them. The ICJ says Japan has caught some 3,600 minke whales since its current program began in 2005. How the legal loopholes of International Whaling Commission failed to stop hunting of whales. In 1982, the International Whaling Commission, IWC, ordered moratorium to pause the on-commercial whaling from the 1985-1986 season. Japan agreed to the moratorium, but has continued the whaling by giving reason of scientific research. Norway formally objects to the International Whaling Commission moratorium, declaring itself exempt. And also IWC grants permits to indigenous groups, Alaskan Inupiat Group, for subsistence food. International Whaling Commission, IWC. The International Whaling Commission, IWC, is the global intergovernmental body charged with the conservation of whales and the management of whaling. It is set up under the International Convention for the Regulation of Whaling signed in 1946. The Commission has a current membership of 88 governments from countries around the world. In 1986, the Commission introduced zero catch limits for commercial whaling. This provision is still in place today, although the Commission continues to set catch limits for Aboriginal subsistence whaling. Why do the Japanese hunt whales? Japanese culture and pride. Whales helped keep Japanese citizens fed both during and after World War II. In 1947, whale meat made up almost half of all animal protein consumed by the country. This history is an important part of why the Japanese continue to hunt whales. Attempts to stop the nation's whaling are perceived by many as a threat to Japanese culture. According to its defenders, eating whale meat is an old and impenetrable Japanese tradition. No one has the right to criticize the food culture of another people, said Japan's fisheries agency. A sense of pride. This also fuels Japan's commitment to whaling. To some, The words and actions of those who oppose Japanese whaling are culturally arrogant and unnecessarily harsh. This only serves to strengthen the country's resolve to maintain its whaling, according to some. The principle of sustainable use minke whales, though not at historic levels, remain plentiful. A population of 761,000 exists in the Southern Ocean, according to Japan. Japan says that its whaling research over the last 2 decades has paved the way for long-term, sustainable use of this renewable marine food resource. Why not hunt whales if they can be hunted sustainably? Limitation of the ruling of International Court of Justice, ICJ. ICJ in its judgment asked Japan to stop whaling in Antarctic under JAPA 2, but it doesn't make any mention on its annual hunts in the Pacific. Therefore, Japan was free to continue hunting of whales in the Pacific. 4. Amid beef roe, buffalo tallow export booms. This topic will be important under General Studies Paper 3. Agrarian Economy, Pink Revolution in India. Why recently in news? Regardless of the raging controversy over beef, Modi government quietly eased restrictions on the export of buffalo tallow, according to official documents accessed by The Hindu. Tallow export has since been booming month on month. The decision to permit export has already resulted in about 40% increase in the price of buffalo tallow in just the last few months and feeds into what Prime Minister Modi called the Pink Revolution. When did India ban fats derived from buffaloes, cows and sheep? 32 years back, India witnessed huge protests over alleged adulteration of Vanaspati with beef tallow. Then India Gandhi government imposed ban on import of tallow, ordered CBI investigation and carried out national-wide arrests. In 1983, India was not the major meat processing country and was dependent on imported tallow for its use in industries such as soap and candle, and to some extent cosmetics. What is the current scenario of meat and animal fat processing in India? Modi government took a decision to ease export restriction on buffalo tallow, after 32 years of banning tallow import in India. Today India is largest exporter of meat in the world and thus surplus producer of tallow. The central government with immediate effect amended Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act, 1992 and inserted new entry on 91A. Thus gave permission for export of tallow. Under export policy it is marked free instead of prohibited. How the buffalo tallow export is being carried out in India. In the light of blooming of buffalo trade, central government gave permission only to APIDA registered integrated meat plants. Compulsorily such meat plants should have facilities of pre-shipment biochemical tests laboratories approved by APIDA. About APEC, it is Agricultural and Processed Food Export Development Authority. It was established by Goya under APIDA Act, 1985 with its headquarters at Delhi. It is serving as agricultural exports and also sugar import of sugar monitor. What are the uses of tallow? Tallow is used mainly in producing soap and animal feed. Tallow can be used for the production of biodiesel in much the same way as oils from plants are currently used. The United States Air Force has experimented successfully with the use of beef tallow in aviation biofuels. It is also the primary ingredient in some leather conditioners. Tallow used to be used commonly in high-end shaving soaps.